It was the last Friday of December, and the streets of Lagos were alive with the spirit of Detty December. Everyone seemed to be out partying, laughing, and soaking in the festive air. But for Onome, it was more than just another night out. She had always been a quiet, hardworking girl from a modest family in Benin City. Despite graduating with good grades, she had struggled to find a job for months. The burden of her family's expectations weighed heavily on her. Her mother, Ufoma, constantly prayed for a miracle, while her father, Osaro, did his best to keep the family afloat with his small mechanic shop. It was during one of Onome's low moments that her childhood best friend, Ose, suggested a way out. "My uncle is very rich and well connected," Ose had said with a sly smile. "He's coming to town for the big Detty December party at Banana Island, and the next day he will be traveling out of the country. So this party is your best chance to meet him if you're interested in getting a job. Mind you, if you impress him, I'm sure he will help you get a job." Impress him, quoi? What do you mean by that? "Come on, girl, don't be naive. This is why you are not progressing. Be smart," Ose said to Onome. "Ose, to be honest with you, I am not comfortable with this whole arrangement. Can't I meet him in his office or somewhere more decent?" Onome asked. "Onome is not just a party. It's called networking. And that is how rich people connect and assist each other," Ose managed to convince her. At first, Onome hesitated. She didn't feel comfortable going to a party just to network, especially one filled with strangers. But Ose was insistent. "Onome, you have worked too hard to let this opportunity pass. My uncle could change your life," Ose said. Reluctantly, Onome agreed. The night of the party, Onome arrived at Ose's apartment in Lekki Phase 1, dressed in a modest dress, still feeling nervous. "Who you wan go disgrace?" Ose asked, frowning. "Come make I transform you." Ose proceeded to dress Onome up in a shimmer dress. "Haba, Ose, this dress is too real." "Sexy," Ose interrupted her before she could finish. Now you come." Ose feeling proud of herself. They left for the party, but Onome was feeling so uncomfortable, but managed to fake a smile. "Relax," Ose said with a smile as they drove through the bustling streets. "This is your chance to shine. Just be yourself and everything will be fine." When they arrived at the venue, Onome was awestruck. The mansion was massive with sparkling lights, luxurious cars parked outside, and the faint sound of music vibrating through the walls. Inside, the party was dazzling. The crowd was a mix of Lagos elites, expatriates, influencers. Waiters moved around with trays of champagne, and the air smelled of expensive perfumes and cigars. Ose led Onome through the crowd, promising to introduce her to her uncle. "He's upstairs," Ose said. "Wait here, I'll go and bring him." Minutes turned into hours, and Ose was nowhere to be found. Onome felt out of place and awkward among the glamorous guests. She stood up, trying to steady her nerves. Meanwhile, Ose was kneeling before a rich man. She was a desperate girl who pimped girls to rich affluent men who did unspeakable things with them, including rituals and organ harvesting. One of the girls she pimped killed one of their cartel members, and they planned to take out their revenge on Ose. Ose begged them to spare her life and promised that they could rather take her friend, Onome. They agreed, and the men sent his boys to go fetch Onome. Onome was still trying to reach Ose on phone, but she wasn't answering her calls. Suddenly, a man approached her. He was tall, with a smooth smile and piercing eyes. "You must be Onome," he said. His tone friendly but unsettling. "Ose told me you will be here. I am Chief Akin, her uncle." Onome's face lit up with relief. "Oh, "Thank you, sir." Ose said, "You might be able to help me find a job." Akin smiled. "Let's talk somewhere quieter." He led her upstairs to a private lounge. The room was dimly lit and quiet. Onome noticed a strange smell, something metallic and cold. Chief Akin poured her a drink and sat across from her, his smile still fixed. "So tell me about yourself," he said. As Onome began to speak, the door opened and two men walked in. They were dressed in dark suits, their face expressionless. Onome froze. "Is something wrong?" she asked, her voice trembling. Chief Akin's smile faded. "Not at all. We just need to take care of some formalities." Before she could react, the men grabbed her. Onome screamed and struggled, but their grip was too strong. Immediately she sighted Ose. "What are you doing?" she said. Chief Akin stood, his expression cold and calculating. "You are a smart girl, Onome, but unfortunately you trusted the wrong people." Realization dawned on her. "Ose, you set me up." Chief Akin nodded. "She brought you here, and now you're part of our business." Meanwhile, back in Benin City, Ufoma woke up in panic. She had dreamed of Onome crying and calling for help. "Something is wrong," she told her husband, Osago. "Onome is fine," he said, though his voice was uncertain. "She's with that her childhood friend." "What is that her name again?" "Ose," Ufoma replied Osaru. But Ufoma couldn't shake the feeling. The next morning she called Onome, but Onome's phone was switched off. She called some of Onome's friends, asking if any of them had Ose's number, but none of them knew Ose or had her number. Days passed, and Onome's parents didn't hear from her. Osaro and Ufoma knew something was terribly wrong. Back in Lagos, Onome found herself locked in a small windowless room. The air was heavy with fear and despair. She wasn't alone. There were other young women, all frightened and silent. It didn't take long for her to piece together what was happening. The party was a cover-up for a horrifying operation, trafficking and organ harvesting. She realized she had to escape, but the guards were everywhere. After much effort, Ufoma was able to reach out to Ose, asking about Onome's whereabouts. Her answers were vague. "Onome left early," Ose said casually. "I thought she would be home by now." Back in Benin City, Osaro and Ufoma enlisted the help of a determined journalist named Basi, who began investigating the matter. Through his connection, Basi uncovered rumors about missing girls linked to similar events. As the days passed, the pressure mounted. Onome's parents took their case to the media, sparking outrage across the country. The police were forced to act, and a raid was organized. At the mansion, chaos erupted. When the police arrived, Onome, weak and terrified, managed to signal her presence by banging on the door of her cell. She was found alive but traumatized. Chief Akin and several of his accomplices were arrested. Osetu was taken into custody. Her betrayal laid bare. The trial was a media sensation. Ose broke down in court, begging for forgiveness. "I don't know they will hurt her," she said. "I just wanted the money." But Onome's parents were unmoved. "You sold her," Ufoma said, tears streaming down her face. "You betrayed her trust for your greed." Though Onome survived, she was forever changed. Her family found solace in her return and fought tirelessly to ensure justice was served. They created a foundation to raise awareness about human trafficking, turning their pain into a force for change. And every December, as the city celebrated, Onome lit a candle, remembering the night that almost took her life and the betrayal that shattered her heart. Please kindly subscribe to this channel and press on the notification bell to get notified anytime I drop a new video. Thank you.